KNAC.com, the loudest.com on the planet. Thanks for checking in with us. I have the pleasure today of talking to Maurizio from Kataklysm, Canadian melodic death metal. These guys have been ripping it up since 1991. They have their 14th album. Can you believe it? 14 albums, man. Coming out
Yep.
September 25th, Unconquered through Nuclear Blast. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel great. I mean, it's not every day that you're getting close to 30 years of being in the death metal world. I mean, it's kind of crazy to even think. I don't think we thought about that when we first started, that we're still going to be here after 30 years and still relevant in a way. And so it's like really cool thing. And just happy to keep belching out records like we're doing. And so this record comes with a title that I think says it all. It's like it's kind of a statement getting towards our 30 years and being unconquered, like still here.
Yeah, great. I love the title. It's fitting for like you described, like you getting through all those years, and you guys have been through a lot, and you've seen the changes in like the music scene and technology with recording. Like, how was the process in getting this album put together?
Well, look, we can start also saying that, Cataclysm, like I said, we've been around for a long time, so we've seen everything, right? So it's like when we first started, there was no internet. Pretty much like it was the fax machine was the internet. So we're coming from a completely different world, and then we've survived all the changes, all the transformations that have happened, right?
Hmm.
So basically coming into this record, I think that Cataclysm took another step into evolution. We've changed our sound a little bit. We modernized a lot of things. We went from a 6 string to a 7 string guitar,
Hmm.
which amplified the guitar sound, make it a lot beefier, more meatier on this record. And bass, same thing with the bass, 4 to 5 strings. So a lot of work behind it.
Hmm.
A lot of re-examining, but at the same time, we went back to our roots as far as writing is concerned a
Hmm.
little bit. Me and Jeff took the horns on the record, and like we used to do back in the day with records like Shadows and Dust, Radiant Fire, and The Hours of Devastation, were records that me and him wrote together.
Hmm.
And I kind of wanted to revisit that time.
Very good.
So it's a mix of old and new, and in between this record.
Great, great, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. And it comes out September 25th, my birthday, coincidentally.
Oh, awesome.
And my understanding, JF also handles like a lot of the recording and engineering for this.
Yes, he's the main guy. He's the band's guru when it comes to productions.
Hmm.
He handles all of that. But on this record, I mean, he records everything, and then the main mixing duties were handled by Colin Richardson in the UK.
Hmm.
He's a legendary producer. He's
Yeah.
an icon for metal.
Hmm.
Done everything from Slipknot to Carcass to even Bullet for My Valentine or
Yeah.
whatever. Like
Yeah.
he's such a big producer, and he was retired actually, and then through his assistant Chris Clancy, which is a friend of ours as well, and connected with JF. He heard some of the demo tracks of the new Cataclysm, and he was like, I want to do the record. Like he came out of
Hmm.
retirement to do this
Awesome.
album.
That's
It's been
awesome.
yeah, we were very lucky and at the same time privileged to have him back, like so and you could tell, man, the production is so strong on this record. It's like we're very happy. It's like a ton of bricks.
Good to hear. Good to hear. And where did you guys record this album?
We recorded most of it in Chicago
Hmm.
because I used to live in Chicago. I'm in Florida at the moment.
Oh, right on.
But I moved down here actually during the pandemic. I sold
Oh,
my house in Chicago, and then the
wow.
pandemic hit. I was in between housing with my whole family. It was kind of crazy time, but
Hmm.
we managed to get everything sorted, and we're down here now. And I guess the pandemic, what's it called? It followed me down here, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
crazy here now. But yeah, I recorded most of the record recorded in Chicago and then in Texas, and drums were recorded up in Canada.
Oh, wow.
And then it got mixed in the UK, so it's kind of moved around a little bit.
Nice. It's been around the world a little bit. That's really great.
Yeah.
For the gearheads out there that like they're interested to know what kind of guitars you guys are playing,
Okay.
you mentioned going to a 7 string guitar and a 5 string bass. Like, what kind
Yeah.
of guitars are you guys using?
So I mean, Jeff's with ESP,
Hmm.
so it's an ESP guitar. I'm not. He has a custom made ESP, so I'm not sure what it is. He's usually a flying V guy, right?
Ah, nice.
But because of the 7 string, you had to go to a more traditional shape. So I'm not sure exactly what he's playing. And I'm not a gear guy, so I don't know much about it. But I know that it's more of a traditional design that he has. But he has his own line of guitars over there, ESP, and Steph's with Ibanez. So he's always been with them, and it's cool. I mean, it's a different process and learning experience also. And for us, it's like most of our records have always been a certain way on 6 strings. So like on the live process, we're gonna have to swap guitars every time we switch the songs from Unconquered. So that's gonna be a little bit of the challenging part. But I mean, it is what it is. We wanted to upgrade and change a bit the evolution of Cataclysm, and this is the time for us to do that. So that's the step.
How long were you guys in the writing process for this record?
It started in August last year, I believe, at the end of summer, and then we went right through the fall, and the record was completed in December, mixed and ready to hand it into. We handed it into Nuclear Blast around, I think, end of December, early January this year, and then we went to what's it called? We went to Atlanta, Georgia, in February to film the Kill Shot video, the first single. And while we were there, that's when everything started like happening that we saw on TVs over there, and that it was at the airport that the country was going to get shut down. And so we just managed to do the video on time, and like sure enough, a week later, the whole country was shut down. So
we mentioned the pandemic. Currently, for those listening, who knows? Somebody will listen to this, a year down the line and be like, "What happened during those days?" It's like the world is kind of in a weird state right now. There's a whole pandemic lockdown where a lot of restrictions are being applied, and unfortunately, one of those huge restrictions that a lot of us are suffering from is a lack of concerts, and nobody gets to go to a concert, nobody gets to play shows, and it's brutal, man. Were you guys lined up to play any festivals or concerts?
Well, like I mentioned before, Cataclysm's been touring the world for since we started. I mean, our first tour was with Deicide in 1995 in Europe. So basically, we've never stopped since. So this is the first time that we're in a forced break, and for us, obviously, I think we kind of needed a break also because of, like I said, going on 2 years. It's a good time to kind of chill. Take a little bit of a step back, you know what I mean? But at the same time, financially, it's definitely difficult. We had a full year booked and a lot of festivals. Right now, we would be in Europe doing some open airs. Right. And so we have one open air left that's still going, apparently, in Switzerland. And we are, looking at the possibility of maybe doing that one. We're not sure yet because, every day things are changing now. So like you said, it's a really, really strange time. And, not something that we haven't been through before in society, before even, 100 years ago or whatever. But we'll get out of it, man. It's going to take some time, and hopefully we can hang in there and get back to what we were doing before soon enough.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you putting out a great record. It really helps people pass the time, and because a lot of people that's what we're doing right now. We're just sitting at home listening to all these records.
And that's the thing. It's like our label wanted to push the record to 2021, and I just felt it was too far. And I said, this is the time people need music. This is therapeutic. I said, like, if we're going to be a metal band and be real to what we do, and we're here also to help our fans, and we want to release some music now. And they agreed. And, at our peril, because, record stores are not really open. Right. So it's a little bit difficult to release records this year. But we didn't care about that. Business comes second when times like this. I think we just wanted to be out there and be together like a brotherhood, sisterhood with all the fans out there, so.
No, totally. Yeah. Like people will look back on this and be like, you know what? That Kataklysm record that helped me through a tough time, man. I was in a dark place during this whole shit, and like they put out Unconquered, and like now that's how I feel. Unconquered. I fucking made it out of this,
Yeah, and the title, we had it last year, way before this thing hit, and then we were like, what? The title is important also, and it's a good time. And I said, let's just release it now because it'll be uplifting. Kataklysm's always been an uplifting band in its music and lyrics. So we are here, and I agree with you. I think that it might hit people in an important time, and it's going to stick with them.
And you just you mentioned you pretty much spent most of your legacy with Nuclear Blast. How's it been with Nuclear Blast?
Great label. I mean, I've been with them since the beginning. They discovered Kataklysm pretty much in the early '90s, and We're the oldest band signed there with Meshuggah
Nice.
and Hypocrisy, I believe, as the three bands that have been signed there since the early '90s that are still there
Hmm.
and active.
Right.
More so us and Meshuggah, and it's great. I know for North America we're the oldest one, and then for the world it's us and Meshuggah.
Right, right. And
Yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling. It's a great. Our contract will end next album,
mhm.
and then we'll see what happens. But we are definitely. I think we've also been the band that's re-signed the most times with them. I think 5 times or something like that. So it's kind of crazy, crazy career.
Yeah, that's a good sign. I mean, you guys work well together, and they got your back, and you guys, like I said, keep putting out great albums after great album, and yeah, I mean, congratulations on that lifespan with Nuclear Blast. I know it's a reputable label, and a lot of the great bands off that label.
Awesome.
Now you mentioned like they were kind of urging you to like push the record a little bit, but you guys, I think, I agree with you, made the right decision in putting this out during this kind of time. And you guys normally take about a couple years between albums. Is that kind of the plan that you guys always go into, of like just spacing it out only a couple of years?
Yeah, I think, it's like the world's moving so quickly and fast. And back then it was more like they don't know us. So let's put records out. That could be like Shuttles and Dust. I remember we at some point I think we released 3 records in a row, if I'm not mistaken. It was like, or 4. It was 2000 Prophecy, 2001 Epic, and 2002 Shadows and Dust. And so like 3 albums in 3 years, and then in 2004 Serenity and Fire, it was 2 years later. And because we started touring more, getting some momentum, at that time it was more about let's keep releasing records because people don't know us and we want to be out there. Now it's more about people's attention span so short and things are moving so quickly that you kind of want to kind of stay into the groove of things, and so you kind of release records every 2 years. I like the 2 year mark. Sometimes 3 is good, depending how busy we are and how things are going to go.
Hmm.
For sure, now with what's going on, I believe that maybe it'll take a little longer to release the next album because we're not going to be able to tour for it until next year, hopefully. But it'll delay things a little bit. But we're cool, man. It is what it is.
Yeah, totally. Like you mentioned Shadows and Dust and the time between the albums. That one, Shadows and Dust, is probably one of my favorite albums from you guys, and you still stayed true to form, but you also saw like the evolution of your style, and like every album seemed to show an evolution with the band, but you still kept your original style. Like I guess some would call it, or I don't know if you coined this phrase, the Northern HyperBlast. Um, Tell us about Northern HyperBlast for people that don't understand.
Well, look, it's a tag that some magazines had given us early, 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 early. I mean, early in our career when we were demo days, and the first record, I believe, came out, and it was just because of the blast beat that we used to use was a metronome blast beat,
Mhm.
and it was super fast at the time. And Hyperblast was for that because it was so quick and it was so much of it. And then Northern because we were from Canada, so they wanted to kind of start this new like hyperblasting thing because blast beats were not developed as far as we brought it early in the early days.
Right, right.
So we kind of had that tag with us stay. And now on this record, we kind of returned with some of those elements from those days. And I think, people are like, oh, they're back now doing the hyperblast. So it's like, it's cool. I'll take it, whatever. We just flow with things.
Again, going back to the album, you guys pretty much handled all the duties yourself. You're pretty much a do-it-yourself band. JF doing a lot of the recording and engineering. And let's mention Colin Richardson. His crazy resume from Fear Factory, Behemoth, Bolt Thrower, Cannibal
Hmm.
Corpse. That's amazing. And like, again, we're talking with Maurizio, Cataclysm, Canadian death metal. These guys have been doing it since 1991. Their album Unconquered will be released September 25th through Nuclear Blast. Make sure you pick that up. And let's talk about the artwork. You bring back, I guess, what you'd call your mascot, the Heart Beast. Is that how they're identifying it?
Yeah, yeah. It's always been the heart beast, and because he holds his own heart all the time, that's his trademark. And it kind of represents society in general. It's like the inner instinct battle between good and evil. and he's got this one side that's really evil and the other one that's very like normal human. So it's kind of a conflict, that we're always in constant conflict. The beast was gone for 10 years because we kind of killed him off on Heaven's Venom. We wanted to kind of move away from it because we've done so many. We had done 3 records in a row with him in a 10-year span, I believe. So I think it was kind of let's walk away from it for a little bit and see what happens. And then 10 years have passed since. Tried new things on different artworks, and then I thought with the 30th anniversary coming back, album called Unconquered, bring him back to life and make him in a real 3D live real setting. And so we hired Blake Armstrong from the DC Comics, and then he's
Mm.
also did the last In Flames record and artwork, and then we thought that was really well done, and we decided to kind of hop on that type of environment for this one, and bringing them back, but like more realistic, more detailed, so less cartoonish.
Yeah, it's great artwork from what I've seen. It really stands out to me. And
Thank you.
so tell us about like the Canadian death metal scene going back all the way to the early 90s. Like what was the metal scene like? Were you guys surrounded by a lot of like similar bands that were trying to, come up as well?
It was a completely different time, and because today you have the internet, it kind of destroyed that type of feeling that we had when we were young, as far as bands were concerned, because we used to like, congregate, all together, going to clubs. And we had all these rock and metal clubs, and we would all go there. And this guy plays in this local band, this guy plays in this local band, and we used to all hang out there and drinking beer on the weekends. And then, most of us would have a scene. Montreal, where we come from, is kind of one of the capital of metal in the whole North America. And
Hmm.
we had a movement out there. So like we would be hanging out, and then the Cryptopsy guys would come out, and the Gorguts guys.
Hmm.
So Voivod and we all hanged out like in the same environment, but there was shitloads of local bands, and so it was all tape trading and just a different time, and we became competitors, right? So it forced everybody to get better and wanting to draw more people and get bigger and get signed and all that, and there was always this rivalry between Cataclysm and Cryptopsy for many years. And then we eventually became great friends, and it just, but all the rivalry went out the window. But when we were kids, teenagers, we were all at each other's throat, So it was kind of a fun time at the same time. But now with the internet, people don't leave their houses, and it's not the same. So it's changed. Everybody's marketing themselves online and don't feel like they got to go to a concert anymore, to support, themselves with their local stuff. So, and most of them now, back then we used to be like 3, 4, 5 local bands get together, do a show. Now it's like, the only way you can get exposure is if you open for a big band or something that's recognized, and you saw a lot of bands have to pay to play. So it changed. It changed a lot.
I'm so glad that you touched on the subject, and the fact that you pay to play comes out of your mouth. Like it just shows me like how bad this. I mean, you want to talk about a pandemic, you want to talk about a virus. That in itself is a virus that really like that kind of really hurts the scene. I think. The,
Yeah, I believe so too, man. And it's like, it's almost like just making sure that the band that are coming through are guaranteed that they're not going to lose money on the promoter, and then
sure.
they're being paid by the local bands just to get a little bit of exposure. And I find, many times the local bands are treated right on top of that, meaning like they're paying to play, but then they're playing like at 6 o'clock when the doors open, and
Right.
it's like there's nobody there, and like it sucks. Like I prefer the old days of we used to organize it only ourselves, a bunch of local bands, create your own hype in the scene, in the local scene, and do it slowly but steadily. Like starts with 30 people, then it's 50, then it's 100, 150. So it's you grow, but people want to jump the hurdles, and they want to go right away, support a bigger band, and like get the 200, 300 people that are already there, or 500 or whatever, to see them, and sometimes they can't just do that, and so promoters need, they'll charge them, they'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I kind of consider it like cutting corners. You're taking a shortcut, taking the easy way out almost. And I also use the word hijack because you're kind of hijacking the bigger band's audience. You're throwing yourself in front of them, and you take your
Yeah, trying to buy some of it, pretty much. But some bands are cool with that, so it depends. It all depends. A lot of people have mommy and daddy money, and they want to use it.
exactly,
Right.
man.
I don't come from that. I come from the streets, and when I came up from the city in Montreal, and I
Hmm.
worked real hard, like to get our name out there. It was flyering, it was playing shows to nobody,
Yeah.
but then eventually the 10 people or 20 that were there started talking, and it got bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and like you mentioned the tape trading too. I mean, I remember those days back in the day. Like that was the way you found out about new music. You know what I mean? Like, oh, check out this
Yeah,
band. You
I
know?
mean, we used to send out. I remember I printed 1,000 demos, and I sent out 800 of them all over the world, and then I kept 200 to sell to make my money back. What
Nice. That's smart.
all the other bands were trying to sell everything and then send very little out there. And the fact that I sent so many, one of them landed up on Nuclear Blast's office, and the owner's office hands, and then he signed the band. So it's like we had a different approach, and then it was cool because you go to a mailbox your PO box once a week. I used to go there, and then, oh man, I got a letter from France, or I got a letter from Germany, and it's like cool to see somebody else knows my band outside. And you're
Hmm.
talking about early 90s now, right?
Right.
So it wasn't like an email, hey, I just heard your band. This was like with an MP3. This is like sending an actual tape, taking it 2 weeks to get there. Then the guy takes the thing, listens to it, writes you back. It takes another 2, 3 weeks. So you're talking about a month. So, we're lucky. That's how it was.
Right.
That's how it was. It looks like it took forever, but in the end, there's some sort of real strong foundation to that you can't find today, right? Today,
Hmm.
like it's like everybody's breakable, kind of. We are tough because of that, because we worked hard and understand what the sacrifice was for. So it kind of goes with the generation today, a lot because you look at society in general, it's very close. It's you see making things easier all the time for everybody, and then they don't appreciate nothing.
No, very true. I really, really agree. Like this current generation of bands and musicians, I mean, they're not going to understand like the actual DIY aspect of what it takes to be a band and get yourself out there, and all the all the trials, all the heartbreak, all the failures, and and
Yeah.
and then
Now the DIY or the do it yourself is, I'm going to upload to YouTube.
yeah.
It's like or to SoundCloud, and that's I did it myself. It's like
Mm.
it's not like that. But anyways, look, it's a new generation, new world.
Yeah.
We have to adapt. We have to adapt, or you're left out,
Right,
right?
right.
So
I mean, I really think it's important for those listening, musicians out there, for you listening, you guys really got to put in the legwork, man. Go out to clubs, especially when things start opening up, right? Concerts are going to
yeah.
be happening, and like everybody's going to be
And,
eager and
and
hungry.
instead of trying to open always like and spend the money to look at a big band, buy the ticket, go see them, and then study it.
Right.
Study what they do, then practice.
Hmm.
Study, adapt the things you like, and then create your style. So I can tell you that it's all about being your biggest critic when you're a upcoming emerging band.
Hmm.
You have to be the biggest critic is yourself, and then the hard work. Nothing comes in metal easy. I manage a lot of bands that I work with in my company called Hard Impact, and
Oh, right on.
yeah, I work with bands like Flesh God Apocalypse, Septic Flesh, Karakangren, Unleash the Archers, like a lot of bands.
Nice.
And in the end, when I first started working with all these guys, and you're talking about guys that are already established, signed, and had like already some sort of momentum. I was like, it's gonna take 10 years, guys. And they were like, you what? Like 10. I'm like 10 years, dude. Because you're gonna tour and you're gonna open, then you're gonna go mid-level, you're gonna headline, and that's gonna take a while. It's not gonna happen overnight. Ask yourself that if it happens overnight, then it's too quick, and then you might, fall as fast as you got up. So you have to kind of like build that foundation. And they all thank me now because 10 years have passed, and they're all getting where they're supposed to be and headlining and making money and living from it. And it's like, it's a process, dude. It's like the people that think it's going to be right away, they're in the wrong business.
No, right, right, and congratulations to you, and congratulations to them. Yeah, like you mentioned, Flesh God Apocalypse. They're definitely a name that's recognized. And what made you want to take that avenue of a new profession?
Well, a lot of bands. I've always been kind of that type of guy when I study a lot of it, and I'm self-made a lot with all my career, and I think with Cataclysm we've survived so many hurdles in industries, and we've always kept a good name that people kind of respected that. And then when I toured with some of these bands, I saw the mistakes they were making, and I was telling them, look, you should do this, and that. And then they were like, oh, it makes sense. And then they tried it and it worked. And they're like, why don't we work together? And I was like, sure. And I started getting into it because of that. And at the same time, I figured, hey, it could be a cool career for when I can't tour no more. And so I said, and it grew. It became pretty big. I also used to manage Ailstorm, like the pirate band thing, and I got them for 10 years, all their records. Built that band and helped build them at least, and it's an experience. And all these bands I toured with, and it's like they were all there, and I saw the mistakes and I saw the problems, so I came in helping, first. It was out of goodwill, not out of like I'm going to manage you, so that just happened secondarily.
And I'm sure you're still getting a lot of submissions from new and up and coming bands to
Well, we have like a good strong roster right now, and because of this pandemic, it's kind of it's kind of on hold. We're
right.
working records. We're working records right now, and more like promotion and a lot of concert stream. As a matter of fact, we're doing one tomorrow with Flesh God Apocalypse in Rome.
Yes.
That's going to be like a live concert stream. So we organized that with them, and then so we're kind of doing stuff like that right now. But I think in September I'm going to launch a consultation company division, because I had it always there, but I never opened it. But because of what's going on, we're going to start working in development for artists in an unsigned fashion. So we're going to kind of offer this service, I think, for a while until things get back, and then we'll see if we'll keep it going or not. So that's one of the things, because we have also an agency, Continental Agency. That's one of mine. I'm partners in that. And then so basically we have a booking agency that books tours. So that's kind of on slow right now too, because we're not nobody's clubs are closed. So we have the whole infrastructure, from producers to develop bands and go all the way into touring, and then getting bands signed. So we kind of have the tools to help, and because there's a lot of bands out there that could use some direction.
Totally. I'm trying to do my part in spreading the music around and making people like hear new music. Like I'm out here in Los Angeles. We don't have a radio station that plays like metal. We have like a classic rock station that plays the same songs over and over again.
Over and over, yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you.
So like with KNAC.com, there's at least a bit of diversity, and I'm doing my part, man, because I enjoy sharing this new music, and I think the Kill Shot is a great lead in to the new album. Again, we're here with Maurizio with Kataklysm. Their album Unconquered comes out September 25th through Nuclear Blast. Make sure to pick that up. I want to thank you, Maurizio, for your time. I know you have other things going on, and I just wanted to open up the floor to you, and if you have any advice for the people that are like struggling through this difficult time.
Well, you know what? It's unprecedented, right? Everybody is in the same boat. The one cool thing, I mean, it's not a good thing, right? But the cool thing is, for once, the whole world is the same. So
Right.
we're all in the same place. Look, it's not an easy situation, but the human race is resilient. In the end, we've survived this before, because it has happened before in a much harder situation. But we're gonna get out of it. And it's just a matter of patience. Try to kind of stay, your head down and get through it. And that's the best we can do, for now. And to me, it's really important to have guys like you out there promoting and pushing the word out, metal, to all these people, and giving the music, use music as a therapeutic thing, because that's what it does. That's what it's there for. There is no world without music. So you being there, helping us out, putting the word out, is a big thing. So we really appreciate that.
My pleasure, my friend. And again, I'm looking forward to Unconquered later this year. On my birthday, September 25th. It's going to be badass.
Thank you, brother. Next
And
single's coming out next month. It's going to be called Underneath the Scars. That's coming out next month.
nice. Do you have a
So
video plan for that, or it's just like a.
it's going to be a video. Yeah, we have something that we're putting together. Obviously we can't go anywhere filming something, but we have
Sure.
something cool that we've been able to put together that I think fans will dig. So that's coming out.
Awesome, awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you for your time, Maurizio. I'll give a high horns and a salute to the rest of the band, and we look forward to seeing you back on the road again, and we look forward to the new album.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.